you have some note paper, I'd like you to write down some action ideas, things that you're going to do tonight, tomorrow, to make your lab a little bit safer. And one of them is to write down a promise to yourself. I will read the safety data sheet for every chemical that I've never looked at the safety data sheet before. I will get myself a copy and I will read it. And this is just like having the discipline, if you're learning a new language, to look up the word in the dictionary. Even you decide to take the time to look it up, and today, it's so easy. I was at a little hotel. Let's see, where were we? We were at no, a little hotel at PTTGC. Yeah, no, and there was a little cafe, and I wanted some milk. And I went into the little place, and I said, "Could I have some milk?" And he looked at me, and he had no idea what I was talking about. So I said, "Hey, Google." Google sprang to life. I said, "Translate milk into Thai." And Google did it. And I showed him. He said, "Oh, yeah, we don't have any milk." He said, "Okay, I'll take orange juice." What? Google, translate orange juice. And I got orange juice. But it's a wonderful tool now. Any safety data sheet you want. Hey, Google, Siri, give me the safety data sheet for Fisher Scientific, for pandemonium difarfilate, or whatever it is you're talking about. I will read the safety, make a promise. Tell your roommate, I'm going to do this. We're going to do this together. Read the safety data sheet.
The piece of paper that what he said is he wants you to put the action ideas in there. So normally when we go to the meeting, any meeting, you will get some idea pop up all the time. But after you leave the room, what happened? You forget about it. So he said that if you think about something, just write it down. Write it down. Every one day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And tomorrow you can come back to look for it, to start that, oh, today I will do this, tomorrow I will do this, or something like that, so something will get done. So that is, I love this one, that you just take a piece of paper and write down whatever you heard and you'll hear today, and you want to say it's a good idea, I can do that in my life. So, and you can go back to do it later on, because after that you will forget.
There are 3 C's to safety. 3 words that begin with the letter C that help us to understand what safety in the laboratory is all about. And the first C word is choices. Life is filled with choices. You chose to be here today. That was your choice. We hope you're going to learn something that's useful, that'll help you to live a safer, healthier, longer life, to be a safer citizen, a safer parent, a safer employee, a safer student. Because it's not just about hazards that are here at the university, it's about life's hazards, chemical, physical, biological, mechanical, noise, radiation, high-low pressure, electrical, and stress. Life has 9 hazards. And when we take the time to understand them and learn how to protect ourselves, we live a safer, healthier, longer life. Life is full of choices. Lucy is the one who's saying that. There's Lucy right there. That's Lucy. And Linus has a snowball. He's thinking of throwing it at her, and she says, life is full of choices. Have you ever seen a pointer like this before? It's not a laser pointer, it's different. Have you ever seen one of these? Yes? Yes? It's called a Logitech Spotlight Presenter. And it will turn the screen dark and highlight what you want, and you can do it even if you're pointing to your laptop. Same thing. Pretty cool. I love it. Okay. And up at the top, it says the only persons free to choose are those who know the choices. You now know a choice. You can use a laser pointer, or you can use a Logitech Spotlight presenter. Unfortunately, this is $100. Maybe it's cheaper here. I don't know what you can get it for here. But if you have a celebration coming up, a holiday, a birthday, maybe somebody would like to give you a gift. Hint, hint. Okay. So life is full of choices. You can choose to throw the snowball at me, or you can choose not to throw the snowball. And up at the top it says, the only persons free to choose are those who know the choices. Here's an example of choices. Here are 6 pairs of eye protection devices. How many of you have a pair of safety glasses that you wear in the laboratory? Who has safety glasses that you wear? Who has safety glasses? I want you all to have safety glasses. And some of you are wearing glasses and glasses and glasses. You're wearing glasses. So you need safety glasses. Somebody gave me a gift a few days ago. One of my former students found me at breakfast over at his desk and said, here, I got you something. Safety glasses, Jackson Safety. Wonderful, they fit comfortably over your glasses. You can have a GQ moment. So you look great, and you have some protection in the lab. Good. But if the hazard is chemical splash, this is not going to be sufficient. You need to have a goggle. This is a goggle, this is a goggle, this is a goggle, and this is a goggle. This is called visor gog. It really doesn't protect you very well because it's open on the side. One of these is the worst choice that you could make. The American Chemical Society produced a $2,500 video. This is the ad for the video. It says, one of these chemists understands lab safety and one of them doesn't. Can you tell the difference? Well, I looked at this and I realized that neither the man nor the woman understood lab safety, and I called them and they changed it to look like this, because the ones in the white coats are wrong. They're wearing the worst choice, and that's this one, the one with all the holes in the side. This is a directly vented goggle. You want indirectly or unvented goggles to protect you from chemical splash. Somewhere in here, some other goggle, maybe. I can't find it. You need an indirectly vented goggle, not a directly vented one. How many of you have a chemical splash goggle to use in your lab? Who's got a chemical splash goggle? Well, that's a little low. How about this action idea? In the next month, I am going to get myself a chemical splash goggle, that's my own, and I'm going to have it in the lab, and anytime I'm handling a chemical that I don't want to have in my eye, I'm going to wear a chemical splash goggle, because in the United States, that's the requirement. How much concentrated nitric acid would you like to have on your eyeball? work in a lab for 40 years, what's the acceptable number of times to have a piece of glass in your eyeball? What would you say? What's the acceptable number of times to have a piece of glass in your eyeball? How about 0? How about you never, ever want to have a piece of glass in your eyeball? That's called impact. And for protection against an impact hazard, you can wear safety glasses. Somebody's handling a beaker. They drop it. It breaks. Where does the glass go? Anywhere it likes. Wear safety glasses all the time in the lab. I have a gift for you. This is one of the posters that we made, and it shows 5 different types of eye protection devices. And the one that's the best is at the bottom. It's the chemical splash goggle, and I invite you, and I give you our permission to make 100 copies and put one up in every lab to remind everybody about best eye protection. Here's a fume hood. Peter talked about fume hoods. This is what's called a green fume hood. It's a filtered fume hood, and for many operations, it might be a good choice. Air is recirculated back into the room. Life is full of choices. What follows from choices is the second C word. Choices have consequences. And Lucy, she explains the consequences. She says, now, if you choose to throw it at me, I'm going to pound you right into the ground. There it is. And if you choose not to throw it, your head will be spared. In blindness, it takes him a nanosecond, and he throws down the snowball, and he says, life is full of choices, but you never get any. Because if you understand the consequences, you make better choices. The persons best prepared to choose will know the likely outcomes. That young man who didn't know that tertiary butyl lithium was pyrophoric wasn't aware of what the consequences could be. So he couldn't make good choices. If you will read the safety data sheet, you will learn about these sorts of things. Here's an example of consequences. Do you know what this is? Who knows what this is? What is it? A rotary event. I have a gift for you. I'm going to give you a collection of over 500 examples of laboratory acts. 5,000 examples of laboratory accidents, and we've published them in a series of books called Learning by Accident. And this is 500 examples. 500 examples of what happens when you break the rules. Some of the stories end with luckily nobody got hurt. This one didn't. A young man, 25 years old, works for the fire call company in Elkton, Maryland. And he's using a rotary evaporator, and he has a reactive material in the flask, and he knows that, so he puts a shield in front of it. But when he goes to take the flask off the rotary evaporator, he pushes the shield out of the way. And at that instant, as he reaches in for the flask, the contents explode, and the glass fragments slit his throat and kill him. 25 years old, Dennis Park is dead, and he leaves behind an 8-month-old child and his spouse. And the man calling me says, Jim, what do you think? And I said, I think he wasn't wearing a face shield. And you know what? He wasn't. And it wasn't the money, because the face shield was in the room, no farther from him that screen is for many of you. It was a choice, bad choice. It had consequences, horrible consequences.
So, before you go on, if you know the choice, right, and you know the outcome, you can choose. But if you don't learn how to what is the outcome, that your life depends on luck fully. Like that guy, I don't know anything about the pyrophoric that 10 years ago just burned somebody to death, and he didn't know and he worked on it, and his life is spared because he's lucky. That's it. So you cannot have your life or your work depend on luck only. You don't depend on karma. Okay, so you can just better.
What does it take to convince people to care? There's a young woman. Her name is Michelle Dufault. And like herself, she had long hair. And she was, in the spring of 2011, she was a physics astronomy major at Yale University, a very prestigious university in the United States. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, she was working alone in the chemistry department machine shop using a lathe. And her hair got caught in the lathe, and she was killed. Has somebody ever said to you, don't work alone? How many of you have heard somebody say, don't work alone? How many of you have heard somebody say, tie back long hair and loose clothing? We say it all the time. You know what insanity is? Insanity is saying the same thing over and over again and hoping you'll get a different result. And I'm sitting there in our office feeling very sad about this, and I'm thinking, we can either keep saying this, don't, and people are going to disregard it occasionally. And I hope that each of you, in your action idea, will make a promise to yourself. I will not work in the lab alone. I will get a friend, someone to come in and be there with me, so somebody is always there to get help in an emergency, or pull the plug, or help me. Make that promise to yourself. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what are we going to do differently about this?